So what I want to do in this quick video is share my thoughts on Yuval Harari's Sapiens. Now, it's an interesting book. It's quite a popular book. He has some very novel and interesting ideas in regards to human history and human development, etc. What I want to do here is touch upon a specific point which he makes. But before I do that, let me give you a bit of context. So one of his ideas is that the reason human beings have been able to do so well is because of our ability to cooperate in a flexible way, which ties in with our imagination. So the human beings have the ability to cooperate with each other in a flexible way through telling different stories, which we imagine. Then he goes on to tie this in with religion, and he suggests that religion itself is a fictitious story that human beings have told to benefit us. Now, this idea is not a novel idea. I've seen this in other places. Other people mention this too, which is even Richard Dawkins, for example, has his own spin on it, which I'll touch upon in a second. But this idea that religion is made up because it has utility, it doesn't logically follow. That's one way of looking at it. You can say, well, human beings made up religion because it's useful, something Marx himself alluded to as well. But it's not necessarily true. Equally, we can look at it the other way. Well, yes, religion is useful. Yes, religion provides comfort, etc. Well, that can be because the creator of the human being, the human soul, the human nature, is the one that sent revelation to humanity. And from the Islamic perspective, we know God has told us that the Quran is guidance for humanity. Therefore, it's inevitably going to be useful. It's going to have utility, right? That just makes sense. That's another way of looking at it. That's another completely coherent way of looking at this reality. Right? So it doesn't logically follow just because religion is useful, therefore it's false or it's made up. No, it doesn't. Now, Dawkins himself takes a slightly different approach. He says, well, look, we made up religion because it provides comfort. Again, the same logic applies. Just because religion applies or provides comfort, it doesn't mean therefore religion is made up. No, it could be the case that God has sent us revelation, which provides comfort to us because God is the creator of our natures, our soul, and he is the one that gives revelation. Therefore, that revelation is bound to provide us with comfort. It's bound to understand the human condition and provide answers, right? Now, I really wanted to put this out because I think one of the axioms of Harari in his book is that, religion, when it comes to religion and other things, are fictitious stories. I don't think this is a valid axiom. I don't think he's looked into this in any great detail. Hence, I wanted to put this out there because it's not the first time I've come across this idea. That being said, there are some interesting things he mentions which I agree with, maybe for another video. But there are several other things where I think there are contradictions in his own views. So, for example, take the example of when it comes to humanism. He sort of, in one of his talks at least, he attacks this idea of humanism by saying, look, if you were to cut open the human being, where do you find humanism? It's just atoms and molecules and organs, etc. Right? But then later on, when he sort of talks about the direction humanity is going in, as far as AI and to the point where human beings are gonna, as he presents it, human beings are gonna be completely redundant. They're gonna become useless, and he sees this as a problem. He almost takes a humanistic type of a humanist stance when it comes to the future of humanity, but at the same time, he doesn't recognize humanism or our outlook on the value of human beings, if you want to see it that way, as something that's objective. He just sees it as something which is a fictitious story that we've made up, among other stories. So there seems to be a bit of contradiction there. And also another thing you could think about is that, well, if he is suggesting that human beings have made up stories and stories are fictitious, well then why should we believe his story, his account of human history, if you were to apply the same criteria? Well, you don't have to go that far, but I'm just putting some things out there. But when it comes to the point on religion, I just really wanted to emphasize that point because you see it in Marx, you see it being spoken about by Richard Dawkins, you see it now again with Harari, you see this type of idea as well, that religion is made up because it's useful. Well, it doesn't logically follow, and that was the point I wanted to get across. Now let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys too. Until next time, make sure to subscribe and take care.